to the ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
A new ship, or shall we say vehicle choice, has turned up in my hangar, which is the Apollo Medivac, a Robert Space Industries manufactured ship. Originally concepted as a size of a cutty, but somewhat now a little bit bigger, dedicated medical ship. In connection with its big cousin, the Connie, it has a crew elevator at the front, which is pretty cool. And apparently that's going to have some sort of influence on the new Connie's crew elevator ship, which I'm guessing is that glass panel that comes down to seal it from like the air and stuff. Now you've got your two seats, you've got your basically pilot and co-pilot. And I was looking at it, it was quite funny when you click a button to put the rails away from the elevator. You basically have two beds, you've got your usual shower and toilet kind of thing all built into one. Storage units are there basically above the beds. As you come into this next bit, there's a corridor. You have your two basically slots where all your components are, including from the one I've just opened, the engineer terminal. Continuing on, you'll go into what is basically the main medical area. Now they're giving us the modules, so I've got one tier 1 room and one tier 2 beds. Now it took me a while I couldn't see where to put the med gel, but on the terminals on the top right it tells them that I've got 400 out of 400 med gels, but on there I've not quite figured out where I'm supposed to refill from. Now each room has its own toilet and bathroom thing. They've got little refrigerated units in there for medical supplies to be inside. When you come back out to look at the tier 1 side, is obviously like an MRI looking kind of a med bed, and again with another basically toilet, shower for the patient. But this is the refrigerated unit thing that you can put some, I'm guessing, a little bit like med pens in, keeping them good. And now each side also has a room which basically looks like has a little mini cargo grid. I'm guessing where you could stock up and keep your med gels in when you're ready to use them. Crew stuff basically. Another component room. But yeah, you got your locker, your guns, your suits. And it seems to be on both sides, with another engineering terminal in one of them. And then basically to the back ramp. And then the back ramp, I found it a bit of a weird looking thing at the back, but I guess it's still way big. That's how I think it's the same as the Zeus idea. Once you get out there, you got your ramp, and off you get. So no vehicle is getting on there, unless you're planning on probably parking maybe the Pulse. I might have to try that, but you wouldn't use it for that. And then I took it out on a spin. I think I took it out for a spin, shall we say. Freakishly, because this new patch dropped for the 4.3.1, I was getting 60 FPS at Babbage, which is always unusual because sometimes I get this kind of like drop down to at least 50 to 40 maybe, but anyway, I digress. Back to the ship. So response as it's flying stuff, that was actually super smooth. It was quite nice to fly about. Shape wise, there's something kind of bothers me about it, but yeah, it's to me, I've looked past it, whatever it was that bothers me. But basically, you wouldn't need a Zeus if you get one of these. It's basically like, it feels like a Zeus with a med beds basically, and also has extra firepower. Now, I wouldn't exactly say take it out on a massive combat fighting side of thing. yeah, it's supposed to protect yourselves and while you're running away from enemies, I guess, with your patience. But in reality, would they attack you if you're in a med ship? They shouldn't really, but yeah, you're going to get people who will prove me wrong on that. So I picked a spot to land on to see how I can get off the ship, on and off it without any issues. And I believe I would have got back on the back ramp, but I did get back on the elevator, the crew elevator that is at the front. And essentially it has for its weapons, from what I see, is 2 lasers underneath, and then there's Gatlings on what looks like a remote turret on top. So yeah, something good for basically keeping you protected. But I would say you wouldn't go into a massive battle with it. I mean, you can try, maybe low level battles, but I wouldn't take it anywhere bigger. Now, usually at the end of my vehicle choice videos and stuff, I used to do like ratings and all this lot, but I've decided to just strip back about that, talk about just doing real talk on the ships and all this lot, really on the vehicles in game, and you know how good they are, the drawbacks if I can find any, or just my general thoughts. And apart from that, I mean, the ship is great. It's quite growing on me actually, but again, it's all about having its proper functionality and use in game. I've not seen the medical beacons just yet, but I've not even jumped in properly or had a long playtime just yet during the build as it's just dropped. But apart from that, I mean, it'd be nice to see in the future with its more uses. If there's like, I know you should have medical beacons for saving players, but hopefully it'll have some for people who don't really want to interact with other players, but missions for saving NPCs or something like that. They may have had a crash on a planet or something like that. But other than that, on this bit when I was coming into land, actually, I felt the weight of the ship just drifting down. Didn't use VTOL to be fair, but I was quite surprised about that because I felt the weight of the ship as I was landing. But yeah, if you're into the medical ships and you like this sort of thing, go for it.